Alright, hi everybody, my name is Nishant Peters. Welcome back to My Mental Heart, which is a YouTube channel I created. As I said before in the last video, I am autistic. I am an artist on the autistic spectrum, aspiring artist on the autistic spectrum, and an intellectual, and I wish to change the world and have a good time doing it. So, today I'm going to talk a little bit about writing, being a writer on the autistic spectrum, and why I struggle with it, and what I'm trying to do to combat the struggles that I face. So, basically, to start out with, what does writing on the autism spectrum look like? It's different for everybody because autism is a very diverse phenomenon. It is not uniform at all. There's some general characteristics, but those general characteristics vary widely and can be interpreted or manifested in literally an infinite number of ways. As autism Sorry, I'm just trying to gather my thoughts. As an autistic, one of the things I struggle with the most is organizing my stories into coherent structures. The structure of a story is very difficult for me to comprehend. When I write, it's usually just people that just do shit, get into situations rather, and they then react to those situations in a logical manner. Character development is not something that I have strongly grasped yet, which is odd because I've been an actor for 4.5 years, and I recently quit the theater company I was working with, Anodyne Artist Company, to explore things like this. So, that's one of the major challenges I face as a writer with autism is organization. How do I organize my thoughts? How do I keep it from being a big rant or being too hyper-focused? That's another thing that I struggle with. Being very, very, very focused on one particular detail or one particular mechanic or scene so that everything else becomes obscured or obfuscated by the sheer volume of what I'm trying to create. Now keep in mind this is for fiction. Non-fiction is a little bit different. Still some of the same struggles, but non-fiction is a little easier for me to get my head around because I have a subject and I can just go with it in as many ways as I want. As an autistic person, and as a creative person in general, I'm just going to emphasize the creative part of it. My brain works very differently from others in how I create things. I have a very specific to general rather than a general to specific. So when people talk about the macro elements of a story, it's not something that comes very natural to me. N.K. Jemisin had a video about how to privacy to my housemates. So basically, N.K. Jemisin, she's a favorite writer of mine recently, had a video talking about the world building, which is an area that I excel in when it comes to writing science fiction and fantasy, or at least I like to think I excel in it, and he talked about the macro elements of world building, then going down to the micro, like what is the broad general structure of your world, the government, the politics. That does not come easily to me. I can give you, for instance, an example of a world I've created, the 7 states and the 5 colonies. I don't really know how their government functions, except in a broad, general, vague sort of sense. But I know all about the details of this particular area of the world, that particular area of the world, this particular aspect of the world. I have created, at its core, the 7 states and 5 colonies world I've created is a post-apocalyptic world, a generalistic post-apocalyptic world, and it's composed of 2 different elements. The Forgotten Lands, which is the area of the world that is the closest resemblance to our world, and there's the New World, which consists of 2 continents. Alepha and Betaf. And as you can see, the name came from Aleph and Beta, the 2 first letters of the Hebrew alphabet, the Greek alphabet rather, sorry. Y'all can slaughter me for that comment later. So basically, there's those are the basic elements, but within that there's languages that I have. There's different religious groups. There's the Saulites, for instance, which I developed very, very, very specifically. And the Saulites are basically what you would get if you crossed the Sikhi faith with an anarchist and a techno mage. It's evolved over the years, so basically their goal is to protect the world from injustice and constantly self-improve themselves via biohacking and technological modification. So you get all these crazy things like people with like cephalopod implants and bionic eyes and all kinds of stuff. So that's kind of an example of how my world building works. I don't know how else to describe it. It's, I could go into whole details about one particular area, like the Maytech area of my 7 states, 5 colonies. I could go into details about that, but the general structure of how everything functions around that is something that is very hard to maintain in my mind. So that's kind of my convoluted example of what is it? Sorry, I'm distracted again. It's my convoluted example of the specific to general structure, I don't know how other autistics do it or how other creative people do it, but for me it's like, think of it this way, like, if you are like, presumably if you're a traditional minded person, you have a concept. What if the world was like this? Or what if X happened to Y? Or even more abstract than that, looking at a homeless person on the street can then lead to a branching off of stories and this and that and the third. Another way of putting the specific general thing is a paradigm is my brain doesn't work that way. You know, the details have to come to form the whole thing, you know. So that's one example of how my brain functions differently. Another example is characterization. I am not one of those people who, and I realize I'm repeating myself, but I'm not one of those people that feels the need to create vague, generalized characters from my mind. Like, they don't just come to me. I have to, like, obsessively create those characters and know them inside and out in order to figure out what to do with them. So, maybe that's one of the reasons why acting was a little bit difficult for me. I mean, not that I can't do it now. I've been successful at it, but character development, I have to go about it differently. You know, so what other ways are there that create difficulties for writing? I tend to ramble a lot as I'm doing this video, so I'm probably going to end it here, but if anybody has any questions for me about how my process works, or how any observations, how their process works, or if anybody has any comments relating to what I've talked about in this video, just put your comments down below and I will respond to them, or at least see them. So, alright, peace.